this story. First, you must know that for all stories, there is a beginning and a middle and an end. So our task this day is to see that when it's all combined, its truth is for all ages. I am John, a fisherman, the son of a fisherman, the brother of a fisherman. Years ago, I saw before me the life of my father and brother, stretching as wide and clear as the Sea of Galilee. There were nets to mend and boats to repair, fish to be sorted and sold. Life had a texture as comforting and reliable as the passing seasons. Then he came, he called, "Follow me." We could hear no other voices, not the sea, not our friends, not even our father and mother. And so my brother James and I left the nets and followed him, unsure of our motivation, knowing only that we could not resist his call. We would become fishers of men, he said. We did not know what he meant, but we followed just the same. He called others too, until there were 12 of us. Not all were fishermen. Some were learned, some were not. We were philosophers, businessmen, tradesmen, and rebels. But we were all seekers, and we followed him looking for answers even before we had fully formed the questions. For 3 years we walked and talked and lived with him as he taught us things unfamiliar to our Galilean minds. It was not always easy to understand him, but he was patient, like a father, working with an eager but less than brilliant child. And we learned and we understood because we loved him more than our own lives. Then he left us. It happened almost before we knew it. Although we should have known, the signs were there all along. Underneath the surface, lurked the hatred, the anger, the scent of murder waiting for its hour. But love never wants to believe in evil, so we refuse to see the signs. We talked of faithfulness and greatness in a kingdom yet to come. And he spoke of suffering and crucifixion, and we ignored him. But he knew, he always knew. When they came, led by the traitor Judas, to take him away, we scattered like frightened children. Long forgotten were our vows of loyalty. We left our promises in the dark Gethsemane. He went freely, although they thought they took him by force. And when he stood before the magistrates, I hid in the shadows and heard his words. He spoke the truth, yet they didn't understand any more than I had at first. And they hated him, because he would not bow before their petty power. Peter denounced him loudly, just as the rooster crowed. But in my refusal to speak, denounced him too. Some thought my silence strength, but he and I knew it was not. It was fear as raw and as bold as blood. They marched him to Golgotha, and we few followers clung together in our grief. I watched his mother's face and marveled at his serenity, even as tears streamed down her cheeks. I longed to speak, but did not. I wanted to shout my love for him, but could not. Somehow he lifted his poor, anguished head and said, "Here is your mother." I took her home that day after the agony of his death, wondering at the trust he placed in me, overcome with gratitude. There was nothing to do, we thought, but gather together and pray. But our prayers seemed as lifeless as his body, and the days continued, broken only by restless sleep. Then on the morning of the third day, the women came running, gasping with news of angels and resurrection. Their words tumbled out in excitement, and we determined them to be hysterical. But something in their eyes gripped my heart. I caught Peter's glance, and we ran to the garden tomb. I arrived there first, but could not enter, paralyzed by awe and fear. I stood transfixed, my hand upon unyielding stones, peering in. I saw the strips of linen on the bier, but did not comprehend their import. Then Peter pushed back me roughly. His shout of alarm pulled me forward from my fear, and slowly, tentatively, I entered that place of death. The morning light streamed in and settled on the empty grave clothes. He was not there. Realization fell on me like the dawning sun. We did not speak. There were no words to clarify our emotions. We ran from the tomb laughing like children, seeing the world afresh like blind men healed. In the emptiness of that stone grave, I found fulfillment not only of my life, but of all the promises he had made. Slowly, I began to sense of it, the stories, the parables, the prophecies, and prayers, weaving together in a tapestry of truth. And then he came again. He showed himself to us and taught us deeper things we had not understood before. Our grief was gone. The answer to our prayers stood before us, and we walked and talked with him once more. His bright and shining truth drove all doubts out of our minds. Now we could truly fish for men and serve our Master well. Denial, failure, abandonment were forgiven once and for always. He departed once more, rising in the morning sky, and we watched him go in glory. But we're not sad. We will see him again, each of us in his appointed time. But now we trace the paths before us, laid out by his hand with loving care.